Hey everybody, it's Tony Codispoti from Great Vocal Majority, and today we have a lot of sad news. The sad news is Antonin Scalia has passed away. And before I get into what I really want to talk about here, Antonin Scalia was a giant. He was just a tremendous intellect, and he really understood the Constitution and what it meant. And it's a tremendous loss. I mean, the world is a worse place without Antonin Scalia in it. And I grieve for his loss. And I have to be honest, when I first saw the news on my phone pop up, I mean, I literally did gasp because I have such great admiration for Antonin Scalia. But now we have to, almost unavoidable to look at what the consequences of his loss are going to be for the presidential campaign and for just politics in the country in general. This is just, it's mind-bending, it's cataclysmic. And here's what I think the Republicans ought to do, and how this plays out between both Republicans and Democrats. I really do believe that this situation actually benefits the Republicans, oddly enough. I mean, yes, they lost a big justice on the Supreme Court, a reliably conservative vote, and we know that that's very, that's very difficult these days. I mean, the court has a very delicate balance. It's really 4-4. And Anthony Kennedy, really just depends on how he feels when he wakes up that morning, and if he has his cereal or goes to the bathroom, which way he votes, because he goes either way. And we've come to learn in recent decisions that depending, sometimes John Roberts even goes either way. I mean, he's reliably conservative almost all the time, but not on Obamacare decisions. That much we do know. In any event, why do I think this accrues to the benefit of the Republicans? Because of Barack Obama. Because now Barack Obama is going to be making his third Supreme Court appointment. And if you stop and think about it, he has a chance now to change the balance on the court. And it's foolish to think that Obama is not going to take advantage of that challenge. Now stop and ask yourself this. When has Obama done anything? When has he made any decisions that brought people together as opposed to dividing people? I mean, and you can expect that he's going to make the same kind of decision here because he has something that this is important for him for a couple of reasons. And let me give you the one big one. It's important because of his legacy. This guy has pending Supreme Court decisions that are going to affect the way he's remembered. So he's going to appoint somebody who's more inclined to support his position on the constitutionality of the things he's done. So that right away puts the Democrats in a bad spot because now they're going to have to defend that guy. And if the Republicans are smart, and don't get me wrong, I'm not assuming the Republicans are smart, but if the Republicans are smart, what they'll do is they'll delay and block and filibuster or whatever I don't think you can filibuster, but they're going to do whatever they can to stymie any appointment Obama makes, and they should. They should. First of all, the country doesn't like the direction we're going in. That means they don't like Obama's agenda. So what the Republicans should argue is that the next president, whoever it is, Republican or Democrat, should get the call as to who to appoint to the Supreme Court. Because if you stop and think about it, the country doesn't like the direction we're going in. That means they don't like the Obama agenda. Point number one. Point number two is that if a Democrat does get elected, say Hillary Clinton, well, that's an affirmation of Obama's agenda. So therefore, you can then argue, well, then the Democrats should get to appoint the next Supreme Court appointee and change the balance of the court, because the country has affirmed that they're okay with what the catastrophe that Obama has brought us, that the people of the country want to seem to commit suicide as a country. So that at least you can make the argument in favor of giving the Democrats the balance of the court, but not give Obama the decision to make it. But if Obama makes the decision anyway, if he makes the appointment anyway, which I suspect is almost 100% likely going to be the case, well then that puts the Democrats in the position of having to defend whoever it is Obama appoints. So Obama's going to have to appoint somebody that threads an impossible needle. He's going to have to appoint somebody that will protect his agenda but appear reasonable to Democrats and Republicans alike, enough to get through a Senate confirmation. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Republicans are not going to be able to not play politics with this, just as Obama's not going to be able to play politics with it. He's going to have to play politics with it. So this is going to be a seriously politicized appointment. And I don't see how in any way, no matter who Obama appoints, how that hurts the Republicans. I mean, who can he appoint that would make it difficult for the Republicans to say no to? Especially someone that it could come out in hearings that they have radical views on, I don't know, on anything, on policing, on abortion, on immigration, any of the hot button issues. This puts that right in the crosshairs, and that plays directly into what you're hearing coming out of the mouths of almost every Republican running for president. So I don't see how this helps the Democrats, because what are they going to? The Democrats now are so busy talking about the 1% versus the 99% and stuff like that, and issues of equity and things like that. That's not going to play into a Supreme Court decision as much as the radical social views. I mean, this is an opportunity for the Republicans that's almost unbelievable. And I think it's worth considering something else. The Republicans won tremendous victories in 2010 congressionally. And that election was like the greatest victory by a single party in Congress in close to 80 years. And in 2014, they won a similar victory of size and scope. Almost never talked about is the fact that the Republicans control 69 of 99 state legislative chambers around the country. This kind of decision is going to get such a spotlight, whoever Obama picks, that the controversy flowing from it is going to affect everybody down the ballot. It's not going to help the Democrats. It's going to hurt them, because they're going to be defending. There's an axiom in politics. If you're defending, you're losing. This automatically puts Democrats on the defensive. And so I think that if the Republicans are smart, but we are talking about Mitch McConnell here, so I mean, let's not get carried away. If they are smart, though, they can really rip the Democratic Party to shreds. And I think it's possible that the Republicans could end up at the end of all of this with no Supreme Court appointee confirmed, an expanded majority in the House, and almost, if not filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, and the presidency. That's what could happen out of this. Now, I know that may sound outrageous, and I haven't really looked at the Senate races to say what's feasible and what isn't, but I will tell you this. I will reiterate it again and again. I don't see how this helps the Democrats. Some people will say, well, the Democrats could get a seat on the Supreme Court that changes the balance. That's right. That's what makes it so political. Now, if this was Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying instead of Antonin Scalia, this wouldn't be such a big issue. You would just, take out one liberal justice and plug in another liberal justice. But this is the most conservative justice on the Supreme Court dying while the most radical left-wing president is still in office, in the middle of a presidential campaign. You cannot get more perfect stormy than that, folks. I mean, and that's why I think the Democrats just saw their lives flash before their eyes, because now they're in a position where they got to defend this. They got to defend the appointment of a lame duck president who has nothing to lose, and all he cares about is his legacy. Now, I also want you to remember something else. I just told you about how the Democrats got destroyed on governorships and and on and on. I mean, and think about what the fortunes of the Democratic Party have been since Barack Obama's been president. I mean, they've done nothing but lose. The only person who's won anything has been Obama. And the Democrats have lost all over the place, everywhere. They're more than decimated. They are being annihilated. And for all the talk of the Republican Party having all these problems, which they do, there are more Republicans sitting in office right now, elected office all around the country, state, local, and federal level, than there's ever been. I mean, Obama's been the best thing that's ever happened to the Republicans. Now, you have to stop and think about that, because the reason why I bring it up is to point out that Obama doesn't act in the interests of the Democratic Party. And he's not going to act in the interests of Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders or anybody else who may end up running. He's acting in his own interests. He cares about how he's remembered by history. He doesn't care about what the Democrats, I mean, not to the same extent. He's more worried about his own legacy. And let's face it, it's a pretty crappy one so far. So he's got to find something to make it better. But the last thing he's going to do is give the Republicans a conservative. So we know that's not happening. And we know he's not going to pick a moderate. Or if he does pick a moderate, he's going to pick a moderate who really isn't a moderate, who turns into a super liberal once he gets on the court, which could also happen. So I think that you have to also remember that Obama, if he's clever enough, he would have to appoint somebody that can't get a majority of Republican votes, really, honestly, only needs about 6 or 7 Republican votes. And if he counts on all the Democrats, he can get a Supreme Court justice. I can't remember exactly, but I think you only need a bare majority to get approved. I may be wrong about that. I got to go check if it's a 60 vote threshold for a Supreme Court justice. I'm not quite sure. I think it may be. I think it's close to. I thought it was the same as a cabinet official, which is just 50 votes or 51 votes. Anyway, we should all say a prayer for Scalia and his family, because this obviously was unexpected. And boy, I'll tell you that he really was a great man. And if you ever want to see how great, there's a book called Scalia Dissents, and it's all the dissenting opinions of Antonin Scalia, and it's just a fantastic read, because the man just knows how to pick apart the liberal argument better than anyone. And it's a tremendous loss for the country, not just for conservatism, because he was a great man. And But life goes on, and we're in the middle of a presidential election, and I'm going to be interested to see just exactly how the Republicans handle this, because, I mean, they're under such pressure for being wusses and not fighting Obama, and now this is like an open net in hockey. It's like, you're in front of open net, you got the stick and the puck right on, and all you got to do is tap it. It's a goal. It's like, yay. I mean, that's what we're looking at here for the Republicans. If they can't do this, then forget it. There shouldn't be a Republican Party then. But I think they will, because I think they know that this kind of opportunity cannot be wasted. That's it for me. I'm Tony Codispoti, Great Vocal Majority. Take care, folks.